One more oracle from Isaiah. God's plan for the world and the promise of a time when God's people will be unified, flourish, and all the world will join in worshiping God together. All this today on Set Sail with Grace Harbor. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all still enjoying these videos, but more than that, I hope you're having a meaningful time reading the Word each day as we go through this reading plan together. If you're new here or you've fallen behind in the reading plan, no worries. Just start with us right at this point and let's move on together. Today, we're continuing in Isaiah and we're looking at the chapters 23 through 27. Now, Isaiah can be a heavy book, and I know for me, I have to read it through several times. There's a lot of prophecy, imagery, along with the history of the world, and sometimes it's a lot to digest. But trust me, these chapters, while challenging, well, they offer some incredible insights into God's character, His justice, and ultimately His redemptive plan for the entire world. We kick off with chapter 23 today, and it's all about the judgment of Tyre. Now, Tyre wasn't just any city. It was a mighty maritime power, a global trading hub renowned for its wealth and its influence. Think of it as a New York Stock Exchange or a major shipping port all rolled into one back in the day. Isaiah paints a vivid picture of its downfall, a humbling of this proud, self-sufficient city. Why? Because its prosperity had led to arrogance and a disregard for God. Tyre was actually destroyed twice. The first time was by Nebuchadnezzar II around 586 BC. Now, he destroyed the city that was on the mainland and subjected those people for 70 years. It was also destroyed again in 332 BC by Alexander the Great. Now, he not only destroyed the city on the mainland, but he literally wiped it off of the map. See, Tyre was built on the mainland and on an island harbor. Well, Alexander, he dismantled the city and used the stone and the rubble to build a 1-mile-long causeway just so he could invade the island and enslave the people where they had taken refuge. Now, he did this in 7 months with no big equipment like we have today. I think that's crazy because we can't even fill potholes in 7 days with 10 guys holding a shovel and a steamroller. It isn't an ancient history lesson, though. Tyre serves as a reminder that no nation and no empire, no economy, no matter how strong, is beyond God's ultimate authority. He sees beyond the bustling marketplaces. Now, moving into chapter 24, the scope broadens dramatically. We zoom out from one city to the entire earth. This chapter describes cosmic judgment, a time of widespread devastation and disillusion. It speaks of the earth mourning, its inhabitants shattered, and their very foundations of the whole world shaking. Sounds pretty intense, right? If we take a close look and go back to chapter 19, we'll see that all of these oracles against the nations and those against Judah and Israel, and those events described here in chapter 4 and following, well, they're all connected in some way to this common phrase, in that day or on that day. It occurs 45 times in the book of Isaiah and 19 times just in these chapters 19 through 27. And if you read through Isaiah and you mark down what it has to say about in that day, it'll give you at least one way to hold on to the truths found in this book. It would appear that that day is a very important reference, and it's intended to hold our attention. It can be seen as both a day of divine judgment and of restoration, a cleaning out of the evil and the wicked, and a restoration of the righteous. Other prophets sometimes call this the day of the Lord. That isn't necessarily talking about a specific historical event, but more of a prophetic vision of a day of reckoning. It highlights God's sovereignty over His creation and His judgment that will ultimately cleanse the earth of its sin and rebellion. It's a stark picture, but it sets the stage for the one who will come. In chapter 24, Isaiah provides us a glimpse of what that will look like. But then, in the beautiful dramatic shift, we hit chapter 25. After the pronouncements of judgment, we find a song of praise. It's like the sun breaking through after one of those tornado-threatening storms that we have around here. And when you experience the feeling that the worst is over and relief washes over you when the anxiety that is caused by the storm dissipates. Isaiah bursts into adoration, praising God for his faithfulness, his deliverance, and his ultimate victory. The chapter speaks of God's preparing a feast for all the people on Mount Zion, of swallowing up death forever and wiping away every tear. It's a vision of a day fulfilled with joy, with peace, and ultimate restoration, a promise of eternal life, comfort for those who trust in him. This is where the hope truly shines. And in chapter 26, he continues the same theme of hope, focusing on the security and peace found by trusting in God. It speaks of a strong city whose gates are open to the righteous nation that keeps the faith. There's a beautiful verse here too, Isaiah 26:3, that many of you probably know. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Chapter 26 is a reminder that even amidst the world's chaos and uncertainty, there's an unshakable peace available to those whose hope is firmly placed in the Lord. It speaks of resurrection and the ultimate triumph of God's people. Finally, we arrive at chapter 27. Now here the focus shifts back to Israel. It speaks of God pruning his vineyard. It's a metaphor for his people, but it's not to destroy them. It's to cleanse them and to restore them. It also talks about the day of the Lord, where the scattered people of Israel will be once again gathered in from all the lands. It seems like we may be living in at least part of that time that he's talking about here, or at least the beginning stages of it anyway. Since 1948, the Jews from all over the world have been returning to Israel against all odds, all political entities, wars, and countless hardships. The nation of Israel is flourishing, and it's growing even today. This chapter is a promise of restoration of a future where God's people are purified through trial. They'll flourish, and they'll fill the world with fruit. Now, if you're watching this on your smartphone right now, you can thank God for bringing the people of Israel back together again, because major parts of the technology that were used to develop these phones was developed in Israel. Chapter 27 speaks of a final, complete redemption and the establishment of God's kingdom. So, what can we take away from these 5 chapters? First, God is sovereign over all the nations and over all his creation. His justice will prevail. Second, even amidst judgment, there's always a promise of hope and redemption for those who trust in him. And third, God's ultimate plan is to bring about a new heaven and a new earth, where sin and sorrow will be no more, and his people will dwell with him in perfect peace. These chapters can feel heavy, but the message is one of an incredible hope. It reminds us that our God is just, yes, but also incredibly merciful and faithful to his promises. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments below. What stood out to you in these chapters today? Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.